Hey guys, welcome to Deepwater Legends. I'm Nate. This is Troy, and tonight we have a special guest. I was cruising the internet the other day and I seen an ad for a reel, and I've never seen this reel before, and I started digging in it. And it's an electric reel that's new to the market. It's called Kobo Reels. I reached out to him, and Michael answered my email immediately, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to come on the show and talk about this awesome product." He sent me some product information on it. Looked great, and I'm happy to introduce Kobo Reels. This is Michael. How are you doing tonight, Michael?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and looking forward to it.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. So first, I guess my big question is, what drove you to like dig into reels? Like, have you been in like the fishing industry or anything that made you identify like this is my calling?
Not exactly. I grew up fishing. I guess I started blue water fishing in 2009, and then really getting into sword fishing in 2010 or 11. I'm a mechanical engineer by degree and kind of gave up fishing between 13 and 19. I moved to New York and worked at a 3D printing company, so designing and manufacturing 3D printers. So I moved back to Texas 19, like coincidentally before COVID. I started fishing again, and I like to sword fish, and I fish with my buddies who aren't very fishy. And a lot of times they'd be running the reel, I'd be driving the boat, and I'd ask them, what's the drag? How fast is the line going? And kind of how much line is out. And I guess the reel we weren't using didn't have some of those metrics. And I thought, like, why doesn't that live on the reel? Uh, and that's when I kind of got the idea, probably in 2020 ish, that like those features could live on a reel, and looked around and didn't see it. So I thought like, oh, it'd be something fun to do on the side. And I made like a real rough proof of concept probably in 2020 to kind of see what the makings of a reel are, just to kind of understand like what kind of motor or what happens to the drags. Because I never built a reel. I serviced my own reels like in the past, like taking them apart. Again, mechanical engineering, just like to tinker more than anything else. Kind of grew up doing that. And then probably in 2021 had my first full system, which was like my own board, the production motor we have now, and kind of the first mechanical system, kind of all integrated, and sort of shopped that around a little bit because I had a screen that worked the way I wanted to, or at least some representative of what the product could be. It wasn't very pretty by any means, but it was more function. So yeah.
That's one hell of a side project to take on. You definitely sound like a way smarter man than me. I just find reels and use them. But that's really impressive to really just get down into it. And I wish I had a mind that thought like that too. Instead, my mind's 100% fishing all the time. Like, how could I do this more?
Sure,
Like, I'm on the way back in from a 100-mile trip wondering like, how soon am I going to go back out? And and I wish I had the time to be like, "Hey, I wanna re-engineer this or re-engineer that."
sure,
So, now that you have your reel, can you go into some of, like, the testing processes? I know when we were talking through email and stuff, you sent me a bunch of pictures, I'm gonna post them up here,
sure.
of the testing processes that you put it through, and my initial thought was like, "There's no way that a lot of these other companies are going through the extent to test this that you are," and that it looked like the same kind of process that someone would test, like a car. Like, it looked incredible. I was like, "Oh my goodness," like, it just looked like an outstanding process that you put these reels through and torture tests and really making sure that these things are gonna last for the people.
Yeah, for sure. So it's one of those things where like you can't. I'd love my product to have been in the field for 10 years at this point and have like tons of fish caught on it, but it's like how do you crunch that down into a couple years of development, right? So it's pretty much how do you break the product? How do you run to the limits or like of the board and the electronics, the motor? My thought was like, well, people, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? Like you run the reel as hard as it can and it fails. I'd during testing, I try to make the like a catastrophic failure, which is like an instantaneous failure, was the kind of first mode of failure I figured, which was lose a fish. So that's like a motor motor failing, board failing, drags failing. I thought those are kind of the three main things that make up this product. So during the process, we broke boards, we failed drags, we broke bearings to kind of iterate and refine the product to where on 24 volts it'll pull 90 plus pounds. The motor can do more. I could have it put out more power, but like it's limited by 24, like what the boats are running and things like that, and call it what's safe for those systems. So I'll run it at 70, 80 pounds as hard as it'll go. And the thing can get extremely hot, right? It's like driving down the street with your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. Like it makes, shouldn't be fishing that way, let's say, but it can happen. And you want to push everything to where it gets so hot that boards can fail. Most chip components run to 125 degrees Celsius. I pushed the boards up to that and past it, quote unquote, blew up boards. And then you kind of like dial it back to safe limits to where you don't reach those. And so there's thermal protection for that. So that's kind of the catastrophic ones. And like, do the drags fail? It's incredible how hot a drag can get. I mean, going into it, I didn't think as much about it. And then you start testing it, and drags, either people ask about like, what is a burnout? Like, oh, do the drags fail and burn out? There's not a good metric on that. Some drags do and can melt depending on the materials you choose. I've done it. I've seen it. The stuff I'm using now doesn't melt. You'll thermal out the system before the drags fail, from what my testing. So like I ruled that out in the catastrophic testing, right? Drags can't fail, the motors don't fail. And then the really fun one is the like lifetime testing. So for that, I have a own test rig I designed that's got a solenoid activating the motor. It pushes the motor for, it's varied, but it's probably like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it's off a second, and it's on for 3 or 4 seconds, and it runs continuously at, I'd probably say the average is probably like 50 or 60 pounds of like starting and stopping. And so what that's doing is like fatigue testing, where it starts up the load and stops it. It's like you go run a mile, it's not that hard. You go run a mile, but stop every 100 feet, you're gonna get tired in a different way. So that test I've had run for 2 months, 3 months, and every day, roughly, it's getting 10 hours of work. And again, looking for some sort of failure there. Do the drags hold up? Over time, I think any drag's going to change a little bit. You're always changing the presets. It's just it's a wear product. But, I don't lose the load. It'll still take it. I think it's still relatively smooth through all that. So I'm really proud of that test. The time it goes on, and it runs, again, the reel runs really hot because it's been running for 12 hours a day at 60 pounds of starting and stopping.
And then I know you guys also like saltwater test them as well.
We do, yeah. So we did like a month long third party test where they submerge it in salt water every day for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then it goes through a salt fog chamber. It has the salt corrosion that dries it out so that it crystallizes, and did that for a month. Find little things and tweak it. I'll probably re-enter it and do it longer this next go round, as we just kind of refine the product more and more, frankly, to make it really as bulletproof as we can. So that was that also tested the like moisture getting in. That was a big concern. It's kind of, how does it hold up with moisture, because it lives in a marine environment. It's a nasty place, so it's a big investment. So doing what we can to try and get ahead of those things, without, again, having product in the field for 10 years.
That's so awesome to like just spearhead that and take it on and innovate processes to test these reels. And it really shows that you're putting so much thought and effort and engineering into this that it's just outstanding.
I appreciate it.
If I can ever get you to cut some drag discs out of your special stuff to go fit in internet and stuff, let me know.
There's a couple special things. There are a couple of special things I don't think I've gotten there that are cool. I don't know if it'll end up being proprietary, but I didn't see in other people's products. Maybe it's carb. It is what it is.
That's awesome. Well, before we go any further, I just want to thank our sponsor, Magic Tail Outfitters. They make the finest rods in the land. They actually make our swordfish rods. This is not one of them. I didn't want to bring a really long rod in here today to have sitting on the table. It's one of our Wahoo trolling rods. All of their rods are awesome. They'll custom make rods to any size, length, anything that you want. In addition to that, they also make the most badass lures you can get your hands on, both inshore and offshore. I highly recommend them. Use code Deepwater Legends for 15% off your order of $50 or more. Like I said, we use their rods for everything. We have multiple swordfish rods from him, and they work outstanding. And they would look really great with the Kobo reel on them. And so I guess getting down to the nitty gritty. First off, where can customers find more information about your product?
Yeah, so our website's kobofishing.com. We got a lot of information there. We're on social media. Our Facebook handle is Kobo Fishing. Our Instagram handle's Kobo Fishing. We got TikTok. I think it might just be Kobo. Those are the main places. You can email us at support@kobofishing.com.
And
If
how'd you
you got
come
any
up with the
questions.
name?
Kobo stands for King of the Blue Ocean. I worked with a group a buddy had who does some marketing, and we went through like a bunch of different names. I got a Greek background, family's Greek, and tried some Greek names, but they're a little hard to pronounce. I tried some different stuff, and I wanted something short and sweet, easy to remember to say. It's a clean logo, so it had like kind of a
Oh yeah, the logo looks great. I love the color and
thanks.
everything. It's
Yeah.
short
Yeah,
and sweet, easy to remember.
a lot of four-letter stuff these days. Yeti, deep. You got that, four letters. So it seems kind of like the move right now, I guess.
My favorite four letters are beer. Beer companies sponsor us. We don't currently have a beer sponsor. We are
Uh,
looking. We are not picky. Free and cold are the two
awesome.
requirements.
Y'all are in South Carolina or North
Yeah, we're
Carolina?
in Charleston, South Carolina. An absolute awesome place to fish. I know I've seen some of your stuff online. You've came and fished out of here, and if you're
Yeah,
ever back in the area, we'd love to have you out with us.
yeah, absolutely. I love fishing over there. People are really friendly. Fishing's not too far, and low country.
Yes, so we're in Charleston.
Country.
Yep, as low as it gets. And ironically, Troy drives a high country, so
Gosh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like we love the fishery here. Like when we're deep dropping for swords and wreckfish, like we're still running 100 miles to get out there.
Right.
So it is some of the fishing you do still have quite the run. Like I fished out in New Jersey for the last 10 years, and it was one heck of a run out there to like the Hudson Canyon, the Toms, Carteret,
Got it.
stuff like that. And luckily our inshore fishery here, inshore being like 50, 60 miles is pretty good. But as
Yeah.
far as like deep drop stuff for really big things, like you got to go 80, 90, 100 miles out there
Yeah.
to really get
Texas.
to the grounds and some deep water.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
guys have a similar run out there in Texas?
Yeah, similar run. Fish out of Galveston most of the time, which is like about as far north as you can get up the Texas coast. You can get a little bit further, but there's really, I think my closest sword spot might be like 95 miles. It's 100 plus up to the furthest I fished east, like 180 miles. There's a rig called
Oh,
the Auger, a spar out there. We'll go tuna fish and stuff like that. And there's a lot of amazing bottom. It's just a
you need
run.
one hell of a gas tank to get 180 miles out there.
Yeah, yeah, or time. I wanted the two.
Out there, get it back's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, getting out there is easy. It's getting
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
You
for
gotta
sure.
you gotta plan really long trips. We
Yeah.
were out the other day and we ran 100 and the weatherman was like, "Oh, the winds are gonna drop," and it was a rough ride out. This is last Sunday, and, we braved it going out, and it was supposed to drop to, like, 2 knots.
Oh,
Man, by 2 o'clock, it was, like, 30 knot winds. It was like, "This
that's
is
the worst.
terrible."
That's the
Oh,
worst.
yeah.
Y'all have some fish in the box though, at least.
We had a couple. It was a really rough day. Like, it
For
really
sure.
rough. Like, the weeds were everywhere. Like, we were just cutting grass all day long.
Working hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely one of those days. We were fishing, not catching. We got a couple mahi, nothing to
Okay.
write home about, but, it was really, really a rough day coming back. Like, my back still hurts from going out, and these guys are already trying to plan to go this weekend. I'm like, "I need a weekend off. My back still hurts." So, one of the interesting things I thought, about your reel is that you only need 1 reel, and it's both 12 and 24 volt. That's
Sure.
incredible because if you're fishing multiple boats, you can plug this baby into to anything you're going into, and it's just gonna adapt. It recognizes it immediately and just goes. Like, there's no setting or switches or anything like that that I seen, and
No,
that's a
yeah, it's got
really incredible feature that's very thoughtful to have.
yeah. The a few of my guys are have multiple boat situations. They're running a sporty and a center console, so it makes it easy for them to jump between them, and you get more performance on 24 volts. It'll do up to 850 feet per minute, and then on 12 volts, it'll do 550 feet per minute. Which is like screaming fast. Sometimes I think it's too fast, but it's hauling. Yeah, and on the bigger boats, 24 volts just makes sense. It's easier to push, so you get a better power, I guess. In
Any
that sense.
plans on making a plug to plug into a 72 volt trolling motor? 76-volt trolling motor
No,
plug.
more power is better. I could use a smaller motor. I could make something really, really cool. So, like, part of me thinks it will get there at some point
Oh, yeah,
with
I mean, there's
lithium
so
and
many
stuff.
people running these Minn Kotas and Rodans and stuff like that. You generally don't use them when you're sword fishing. That'd be awesome to just be able to plug up into that system and really
Yeah,
lay down the hammer.
yeah, for sure. I don't think I've run it. If I ran this one on 72 volts, it'd be scary. I'll tell you that. But uh, yeah, the first time I put it on 24 volts, I was like, wow, this is nuts because my gear ratio was faster too. There's all sorts of things I had to kind of figure out. But yeah, I think I was doing like 11 or 1200 feet per minute at one point on 24, and I was like, this is something's not right.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
more wasting time on reeling up to check baits.
Just bring it up in a few minutes, a couple minutes almost. So yeah.
So I know you guys are fairly new to the scene. I know you have some people in different areas. One of the guys is in Charleston. He just got a whopper of a swordfish on one.
But Buford, Buford, yeah, yeah. Full hookups. Yeah, I like those guys.
For a company just starting out, that's incredible, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's really awesome to see, and especially, like, that from the fish that I've seen being caught on these are no joke. Like, I mean, every one's bigger than the last.
That
Like,
one
how
Shane
big
got
was that swordfish that they got? That was like
that was
350, right?
no. I think they put it at 250. I don't think anyone's broken 300 yet. They said that was a mean fish. Took the polyball down after they harpooned it. So I think it was a few hours. And then a guy in Texas, biggest weighed 265 or something like that. They fought it for four plus hours. Probably lighter drag, probably like somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds. Just depends on.
Yeah, that's what we stick it at too. We never
Yeah.
go above 20. We always, hook it at 20, lower it down to 15. Because the mouths are just so soft, you'll pull the hook right away.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to those like foul hook. That can happen a lot, and so I set the hook. I go to 30 pounds, maybe a little higher. That one that Shane and them caught. I think in the video I posted, you can see the screen and it shows 38 pounds, and that's when they were setting the hook.
And it's so awesome that you have like a high gear ratio. So if the fish is screaming to the surface, you can gain that line back as fast
Yeah,
as possible because
for sure.
once you go slack, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. The first time we were fishing our buoy, it was during development. I started fishing with a buoy pretty much. Otherwise, I was doing one tip, and we set it out. And again, one of the guys on the boat didn't fish much, and I was like, "Yeah, watch the buoy. If it goes over, we get bit." And I wasn't thinking much about it. A few minutes later, he's like, "It really hasn't like stood up. It's kind of like wobbling like this." And I was like, "Yeah, like kind of like we'll check it in a minute. We got the tip rod. We get the tip rod out." And then like a couple minutes later, he's like, "There's something swimming around the buoy." He's like, "It's a shark." I was like, "Oh man!" Like reel it in. So we get the tip up, and then we got the buoy in, and sure enough, there's just like a mess of line, just like a knot of line. We're trying to entangle it, and I said, "Screw it." Cleated off the fish, and he was like floating up on the surface, fishing up on the surface, so he wasn't really pulling on it. And I gave the fish side to a guy and said, "Hey, hold the line. If you start feeling it tug, let me know." And so I cut out the knot and then did like a uni to uni or blood knot. I can't remember. Missed it. Didn't like it the first time, so I retied it. And he goes, "I think something's happening. He's pulling." And then I threw my hands up and got the cleat off, and we were tied again and got the fish. So
That's awesome. How big was it?
it wasn't too big. That was like a sub 100 pounds, maybe like 75 or something like that. Nothing too strenuous, but
I mean, anytime a swordfish hits a deck is celebration
Yeah.
time.
yeah, and that one had us like all tense too. And some of those early fish are tense, get one out of the way. Yeah, so that was a fun trip. Those guys didn't fish a lot, so it was all fun to them.
So I'm curious of how much the actual reel weighs
Yeah,
because when we're out on the boat, sometimes we have to, move in a hurry and move it from one rod holder to another rod holder
sure.
in some situations. And I'm just curious how much does this weigh?
It's not light. It's probably 22, 23 pounds. During like development, I was targeting probably 15, but by the time the robustness to be there, like originally I didn't have a level wind, putting on a level wind just kind of like adds up. Kind of the day in and day out abuse. The weight kind of helps to handle that rather than have something real light and thermal mass with the system. What's nice though, when you unplug it, it still remembers how much line you had out.
That's incredible. That's super
That's a
helpful.
really nice feature. That way, if you do have a buoy rod and you got to move it around, granted, if line goes out while it's unplugged, you're not going to know, but you won't be totally zeroed out or anything. So that's a really good like feature that surprises guys, I think.
Yeah, and showing how much drag is on the screen is incredible. Like I know our reel has a piece of blue painter's tape with
Sure.
a drag scale that we set every time that's like,
Yeah.
hey, this check mark, and then it's like a note like, hey, asshole, don't go higher than this.
What the thing with that though is like drags change, your spool capacity changes, which changes how much drag you have. So there's like so many variables that go into it. Unless you're really good at reading your rod and know exactly what that looks like, and frankly, you're up and down and not really scoped out, it can be a little tough to read. One of my guys, actually my first guy to pick up his reel, says his success rate went up, which is like really what I want, right? I want to have a better time. And when he sets the hook, he's, I don't know, 22 to 25 pounds, I think he said. And then as soon as he does that for 10 seconds, then backs off like 3 pounds. So he's fighting like at 20. Once he gets his lead off, he backs off another three. So he's like incrementally moving it around as things are happening. And he's like being able to see the number like really helps with that. He was using a different product, and he said he was like 6 for 9 leading up to the Kobo switch, which is like really good numbers. But then he said after he switched to Kobo, he went 8 for 9. The only reason he missed that ninth one, which he believes he would have gotten, it was the guy using the reel pushed it to 40 pounds, pulled the hook, and he was like, "I bet we would have been 9 for 9." I was like, "That's if you believe it, that's those are your words, and that's the hope, to dial in on metrics or confidence in kind of what you're doing." So
That's incredible. And what are you guys using for bait out there in Texas when you're sword fishing? I know a lot of people are using squid. We
yeah,
usually use eels just
okay,
because they're so tough. We have so
yeah,
much line out. We know it's still on there. Like I mean, we can catch multiple swordfish with the same bait, and
sure.
we know it's not going to be a spinner as well. Are you guys using a lot of squid? Are you using eels? Are you using octopus legs?
Yeah, there's probably more squid than anything else, I'd say. I'm probably 50-50. At night, I typically try to stick to squid. And then during the day, I do mix it up, either like an octopus tentacle, an eel. I will run some squid. And it just kind of depends. I think everyone's kind of got their preference. I know some swear by just running squid. But again, you got to rig them a little nicer. You got to check if they're running right. I think that's where, when we started sword fishing, I think that was our big problem. We had baits that spun and didn't realize it. One, we probably had struggles getting them down, but even when they were down, they probably were spinning and fishing a lot of the same spots I was when I was learning and catch fish now and didn't then. So cleaned up my tactics, cleaned up the baits, kind of deal. But
My
I like
biggest
to
one I ever caught was on a Boston mackerel.
really.
Yeah, I would have never guessed.
How did
Excellent bait.
you rig the hook up at the nose or from the tail and ran it through it, or would you?
So it was rigged on the nose. I
Uh-huh.
was with No Limits out of New Jersey in the Hudson Canyon, and we nailed one. It was at night. It was probably at
Nice,
like 250 feet, and it was an excellent bait. But
nice.
unfortunately, we're nowhere near Boston. We can't get Boston mackerel down here in the South, so we got to
Got it.
stick to eels. We have them shipped to us, so we're
Cool.
able to run them and really good success ratio with them. They just take a beating. Like
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you can have it down there all day. You
If I'm
barely have
running a
to check it.
buoy, if I'm running a buoy, I typically run something more robust on it, just so you kind of forget about it. You don't have to bring it up and down. Um, so yeah, yeah, for sure.
Some people like to run like the hoagie, like rubber eels. I just like to
Sure.
run real eels.
I don't think I've got one. I don't think I've ever run it, and it seems like a good plausible. You can spray it
I
with
know a
some
guy that
cement.
caught
Yeah.
4 in one day on one of those,
Oh
so
wow.
they definitely work. It's just I just prefer the real deal if I get a hold of one.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one too. It's just a good backup just in case.
You just never know. There's no reason not to. It's not gonna tear on you.
And honestly, I'd throw that down before squid.
Got it.
Like just because like squids just explode the first time they get hit. I like to have stuff down there where it's like I either have a fish on or I don't.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm good with that.
So with your reel, what other kind of considerations did you take into factor when you were designing? Like was there anything where you're like, it has to have this or it can't have this?
Yeah.
What really was like your driving point on like when you were taking on this huge jump to making this happen? Like most people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna take up like I'll build a rod or I will try catching a new fish." It's very rare to hear someone that's like, "I'm gonna re-engineer an entire electric product to make it better."
I appreciate it. I thought about doing a handle originally. I kind of designed one out. Had like a real rough prototype with it, but my thing was like, if we're gonna have all this power, and it's gonna be like a dedicated reel, why like mix and match? That's one thing that guys ask for. That's like, you got a swappable side plate. Couldn't you just put a handle there? And it's like not quite that simple, but kind of complicates things. But the handle is probably the biggest thing.
And that probably goes to like tournaments because a lot of tournaments will like use electric reels if you can detach
The
the reel
motor.
mechanism to crank it up.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's anything I thought that was like, no, I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that, or didn't make sense to me. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know if I got one of those besides the handle. I think it's the best answer I can give there.
That's awesome. And, I guess we'll dive right into the reel. How much line can the reel hold? What kind of line do you usually recommend when it comes to sword fishing for these guys to have on these reels? We usually use like 65-pound solid braid. When it comes to it, it just cuts through the water a little better, in our
Sure.
opinion. But we had Cortland Line on here a few episodes ago, and they actually said that a lot of people are switching over to hollow core because it's so thin, and when it
Yeah.
has weight on it, it turns flat. So that
Mm.
might be something we switch to in the future.
Yeah. So probably the what I sell the most of, or pair the reel most of, is 80 pound solid. I think it's kind of the most universal. You can do a lot with it, and that's probably why. In Texas, we don't have a lot of current, so it kind of makes sense. So with 80 pound, depending on how, like if you're running buoy whips, that takes up a little capacity, but it's pretty much 6,000 feet to 7,500 feet. Um, is what it'll fit. And again, how much that leaves room for a daytime wind on, and kind of depends on the brand you're using. All the brands run a little different in terms of thickness. And then there's also even a little bit of variance within that brand in terms of thickness. So I think I've used majority of them to this point, kind of the big ones. Right now, I use fins. Talk to them a little bit about their manufacturing process, and I kind of like the technical details I was hearing on the product. You don't see a lot of it in offshore. It's been, I think, a bigger inshore product. They're also they make a lot of lines. I like the XS Big Game. That's the one uh, typically use. It runs a little bit thinner on the 80 side than some of the other stuff, which is nice, and it's still 80 pounds. The funny thing I started to realize, what there's I don't and I don't ever say the wrong thing. I don't know if there's like a standard that all the line manufacturers of like, hey, this is, we call it 80, but is it breaking above 80? Is actually like 90 or 100? I think some of that kind of happens out there. So it's sometimes hard to know what's what. But yeah, so 80. Some guys will run 65, but not too many. I think there is maybe a little bit of a push to go lighter because sword fishing, you're not really 40 pounds is a lot of pressure if you're setting the hook there, and even
And we have tons of current here. So the
yeah,
reason we go with lighter line is just so it cuts better. We have much less scope. Like we were using 80, we had a lot of scope out, and switching down to 65, it just really cuts through there well.
hollow core, 500 pound hollow core. So if you're pulling dredge, it'll hold 1,000 feet. 500 of 800, it'll do 500 feet.
Now for dredges, a lot of people are probably using like 4 or 500 pound mono, right? 800 pound mono.
The only stuff I've seen so far is the solid or the hollow core braid, the 500. I think I put 800 on one guy's. I don't pull a lot of dredges. I've done it in my testing to see like what I can pull and something to like show guys. I personally didn't like the way that the mono is going on the reel. When it gets under that high tension and load, it's got a little bit of a stretch, which I think maybe that's what some guys might want. But the braid is just so solid going on. I thought like probably as the real guy and not caring about like what's happening on the dredge side, I kind of gravitated towards that. But I think the 500-pound mono will probably do 500 feet as well. I think is what I remember. I spooled out a few times.
Oh yeah, we're running the dredge like 72 feet behind the
Sure.
boat. So
Yeah.
anything longer than that, we're good to go.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. And do you have one that you can show us?
Yeah. I got a battery too, so I can power it up.
Oh, that's awesome. Like a battery pack or like a battery like to clip
It's
it
my
to?
own little pack.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, holy smokes, you guys make like a battery pack that clips
Nah,
onto it?
yeah.
Wow, that is nice. I like the red screen.
Yeah, so you can see it at night.
Doesn't blind
And
you.
yeah, it is blinding. You can swap the spool. There's a like a release pin here, and this whole frame will come off. And so you pull the pin and rotate the frame.
Yeah, that is
And
beautiful.
now you've got a spool nut in the hub. So one hand, spool nut off. You've got a spool, empty spool.
And I think you guys are running a sale right now, from what you were saying, when someone buys one of these packages with multiple spools, correct?
Yeah, it comes with a total of 3 spools.
That's incredible. So you can have a deep drop spool, a swordfish spool, and a dredge spool all in the same purchase.
All in the same purchase. Ready to go. Let's see. You got your knob for variable speed, and you can see that there's a set point here in feet per minute. And so technically, when you pick that set point, and let's say you have your line, let's say you had all the line out, the bottom of the spool spins slower than the top of the spool, right? Like a gear ratio.
Mhm.
Wherever you have your set point at, it's going to slow the motor down a little as it fills up to try and keep that set point. So
That's incredible.
it's like really subtle, but it's like when I'm sword fishing, like I haven't had a fish come up faster than needing to go like 150 feet per minute. If you think about it, at 1,500 feet of depth to come up 150 feet, it's only 10 minutes. So in like my experience, I'm usually running 150 to 200 feet per minute, and that keeps pace with the fish majority of the time. Like every why I like sword fishing, every fish is different. You really never know what's going to happen. They come screaming up, they can hold down. So you have your momentary button here. You see, so it's spinning, and then you have a auto. You push both of them at the same time, it'll come in. And so right now it shows minus 41 feet. So it's gone past zero, so it's not going to auto come in unless you're past zero. So there's some of the things like the user experience is a little different where I think most of the reels out there, once you get past zero, it just shows zero. I kind of chose this direction for whatever reason. Guy zero at the bait, essentially, then you kind of know past the bait
Yeah.
where you're going
You have
potentially,
150 feet a leader
or yeah,
out,
the
so
lead,
forth.
and then yeah, so it's a little different. Those are some of the things that guys get used to. Usually, like a day of fishing, they're like, okay, I get how to use the reel in terms of using other products. So I think what else. It's kind of it. You can move the level line left to right. So when you swap your spool, you can realign it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Swap the spool. What else? Yeah, and so you got feet, drag, or not drag, tension. So it's not based on where the lever's at. This is another thing guys kind of are like, oh, you have an electronic drag, and it's not really electronic. It's still a conventional drag system in the sense that if you had the drag here at full, right, you don't see it's only showing 1 or 2 pounds because the motor's got to work a little bit, right? And so it's always the tension in the line, right? So if when the drag's slipping, whatever number you see here, that's what correlates to the like drag lever position, right? It can't go any higher. So if you want, I think of you have two things: speed and pressure. If you want to come slack, you use speed. If you want to apply more pressure, you use drag. So if you're fully tight, like you don't need to run the motor any faster to get anything else out of it. And because of that, we've got what we call the smart motor feature. And so what that does is it regulates your motor speed so that you don't overwork the drag, you don't overwork the motor. And so let's see if we can get that going real quick.
It's just built too good. You thought of too many
No, it's
things.
not that. I don't want to. I don't want to paint this like bulletproof picture, right? Like there's edge cases on everything. The way I maintain things, I try to be like pretty honest with how I maintain it, not like babying it or anything like that. People are like, "Oh, what should we? Can we touch it? Can we do this?" And it's like, yeah, like I don't care, right? I think keeping like, since the drag frame comes on and off, keeping that clean in the sense that like there's no debris in those like mating features, so that when you take stuff on and off, there's no issues. I can see things getting stuck. Like you're in seaweed, a lot of seaweed grass the other day, it sounded like. So if you're reeling that up, it could get up in the level line and things like that. I can't say that there's anything like in particular, like at this point, where it's like, oh, this is going to cause a problem. Fresh rinse off after you use it, kind of any good maintenance, I think you're going to get like a really like a ton of life out of it. The amount of like on the drags and that life testing we talked about, those drags I think I've run estimated at like 10 plus years of hard use at like 50 or 60 pounds. And so the reason how I got to that number was from at 6 months, I got to see some guys. So essentially on the reel, it'll tell me how long the motor's run, how many times the button's been pressed, what the average motor RPM is, how many times the spool revolutions has gone. And so then I can say like, okay, what do I think that is over 6 months, and then extrapolate that over like 10 or 15 years. And so
And are the drags replaceable? Are the motors replaceable? Stuff like that. So should someone have an issue, they're able to reach out and get those
absolutely,
parts to put in.
yeah. Right now, I want everything serviced at my shop. I don't want people doing it, and the main reason for that is if there is a problem, if there is something, I want that feedback to put back in the product.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
I
And
want to
that's
see that.
exactly why these small businesses are key, guys, because they actually take into account your feedback. Like they will make changes, just like our last guest on the show making the tuna tubes. Like you get one of these things and you come up with an idea, like you might likely see it on the next product that they launch because you guys are the key and the heartbeat to this industry, and having these small businesses that are reaching out and creating these products are the exact innovators that we need to support and keep in our minds and in our tackle boxes and stuff, because these are the guys that come up with new ideas and are out there with you and really want to know what you think and how to make their stuff better.
Yeah, I lose sleep over it since I uh, like Shane's fish. That was in the first week of them full hookups out of Beaufort, right? It's
Yeah.
Beaufort. Both there's a Beaufort, North Carolina. Is that true?
I'm not sure.
Uh,
I'm not a geography guy. I'm a fishing guy.
So Buford had caught that fish within the first week. I spooled that reel. I put the buoy whips in there, and that was it. He's trusting my knots, and that's gets me jacked up to see. And that was Finn's line. There's a guy here in Texas I talk to a lot. It's called Blue Action Tackle. He makes really good wind-ons, deep drop gear, daytime wind-ons. He's got stuff everywhere. Really good guy, and like he helped me get the connection with Finn's. It's cool to see our gear working together out there to go catch a 250 plus like mean fish. But one of Shane's feedback was like, hey, it slows down too slow. So when you let off the momentary button, it takes a second to slow down to zero. I was like, okay. I sent him 2 videos. I was like, this is what you have now, and this is what I just changed it to. Granted, I can't like push that change to him, but I was like, keep getting feedback, find other things, whatever it is, and send it back in a year, and I'll get it right back to you and make those updates.
That's incredible.
So I value the guys who are giving me that like closed loop like feedback. Again, like I said, I don't have product that's been out there for 10, 15 years. I'd never designed a reel before, but the right feedback and the right perspective, like it can get those gradual little improvements here and there, and make it the best product I can.
So what do you think's next on the list for Kobo? Do you guys have any other items that you're gonna tackle, or can you talk about it? Is there anything else on the drafting table that you're coming up with? I can tell you're not a one-trick pony. I know that a guy that's putting this kind of thought and effort into making his own jigs and equipment to test these rods and lures and stuff isn't just like, "I made the Michelangelo, we're good."
Yeah,
I know there's gotta be something else. Spill the beans?
there's nothing that's like made. It's all like in my head and like hearing feedback from guys. Guys talk about wanting something smaller. Went to my anodizing supplier today and we talked about some improvements I wanted to see, or like why does this happen and how do we get it better?
You're gonna come out with them in gold?
Not yet. I don't think so. I
It
stick
could
to
match,
one
like,
color.
Tiagras and Penn Internationals and stuff. Just think about it, man, like, a gold one would be awesome.
Gold one would be cool.
I'd buy your first one, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Good to
Make
know.
it
Good
in
to know.
make it in gold.
Yeah, but then like right now, it was some guy wanted like a purple one here in Texas, and I was like, I like the color purple. That's cool, but I don't want him to look and see different product out there. Right now, it's like brand recognition. Like you see a silver and black reel that looks like this. Like ideally, you think Kobo, and it's just like one more headache right now. I don't want to go some other stuff, to be honest.
Imagine how much cooler it'd look with that logo in gold. I'm just saying, gold would be hot, man.
I'm
Be the
sure.
hottest thing. So what do you think would be like your biggest accomplishment as like in a fish? Like what could somebody land on one of these reels that you would be like, I did it? Like, is there one like a 500-pound swordfish, or where do you set the benchmark in your head that like once one of those suckers hits the deck, you're like champagne time?
That's a good question.
I know there's got to be one.
I think the nickel mark is a big one. That's a very well regarded. Everyone knows, like, yeah, nickel fish is big. That'll probably be like a really good one. That one will make me feel really good and be like a real good accomplishment for the product. I got some calls from guys for bluefin tuna over the last year or so. I just haven't been able to really connect with anyone to go do it. I'd like to
Shout
go.
out to George. You're one of those guys.
I'd
He's
like to go
dying
do that.
to try to catch a giant bluefin tuna on an electric reel.
Yeah. And like the swordfish, I think it's bound to happen. The size of fish is going up. You know, there's been three or four in like that 250 range, kind of mid two. So I think it's just with time, it'll get there. Personally, I haven't broken 300. I've caught a hand crank night fish, like a 3 plus before. That was a good fish. Personally, I'd like to fish a little bit more. So hopefully I can get around and get one of the good ones on the 500 on a Kobo. Would be pretty sweet.
Have there been any other kind of like notable fish that have been caught on your reels? I've seen a lot of other pictures of groupers and queen snappers and anything like that. Is there anything else that you're like, man, if someone can get one of these, like, I
Uh,
would love it. Like I know wreckfish get huge. We caught like an 80-pounder last year, but
yeah,
we're
I
looking
feel like a
for
big
one
Warsaw maybe.
over a
A
hundred.
big Warsaw. There's a guy here. He caught a. I think I posted about it. It was a nice Warsaw, but he was out. He sent it to me. I was like, "Oh, nice fish," and he was like, "Not really. I've been catching them bigger in that area, so I'll be back." So hopefully get like a monster Warsaw. That's a good test. Get a fish off the bottom. You need a lot of power for that. So I think that would be a good one. I think those are the really the two fish. A big bluefin tuna would be pretty awesome, and then yeah, 5 plus sword would be amazing. Everyone talks about 1,000 pound sword. That'd be sick too. But yeah,
You'd have
that's
to go to Australia for that. Like it's
probably
probably likely you'd have to go to Australia to get
yeah.
something over 1,000. Hey,
I mean,
Australia listeners, you heard it here. Get one over 1,000.
but yeah, I think that's it. I mean, the guys are catching towelfish, snapper, all that kind of stuff. Anything that'll put it to the test, I think, is really a big eye thresher. Those are tough fish. The thresher, big sharks. So anything for people to say, "Wow, yeah, it took it." You know.
But yeah. Have you sent any internationally yet?
No, nothing international. People reached out about like distribution and things like that.
Are you open to going into tackle shops to be sold? I know we had Greg on here from Fisherman's Headquarters a couple weeks ago. He showed a lot of interest in it. He actually went and looked at the reels and stuff. He's like, these things look great. I would love to talk further about it. Do you have any plans in the future to go into shops, or are you guys going to stay direct?
Right now, direct. I think that's what kind of matches the volume and we're doing, the feedback I want. I don't want to like rush a product out there. The engineer in me is like certain people in my life tell me pencils down, like just get going. But the engineer, I think it's an internal struggle that I face. You know, nothing's ever perfect. I think there will be a point where I'm like, no, this is it. This is good enough to kind of push out. Like right now with like retail shops and stuff like that, it's one more portion. I'm that much further away from the customer in my mind to get that feedback and to kind of close that loop. So to
That's
me, I
so
guess
awesome that you're so like quality assurance focused. Like that's so unheard of in so many of these industries and manufacturers of different products
mm,
that it's refreshing to hear of somebody that's like, hey, like I want to know what these guys are saying. I want to know their trials, their tribulations, their victories, their successes. I want to be there for them to support them. And that's just the makings of an awesome company. Like
I
we're really
appreciate
happy to to be able to talk with you and really find out what's the driving force on this because I mean, this is one heck of an undertaking. Like, you don't just wake up one day and are like, "You know what? I'm gonna try to make this happen." Like, this is a really incredible feat.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it's sometimes it's nerve wracking. Like maybe it's more than it took me a little longer to get where I am. I think than I wanted to, but I feel good about the product. The feedback's been good. And that's what I care about. I just want guys. I want guys who are using my product to like it, to believe in it, to feel comfortable with it, and not be like, oh, like this guy's just like out in Texas. Maybe he's not real. Like whatever, right? There's guys who bought my stuff who like I never talked to. They saw an ad and bought it, and then I call them. We have a great 15-30 minute conversation. Talk about fishing, how you're going to use it, why did you pick the product. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell you're the real deal. You have swordfish bills right behind you on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
could pass
guys
some videos.
have
Like
a
I,
ton of videos and the product looks great. Like, you can tell, like, someone that's using products in the industry thought of this product and how they can make something for them and overall help everyone that's using the same product.
yeah, yeah.
It's just really cool when you see it come full circle because, like I said, like, this is one hell of an undertaking. Like, you don't just make this happen or snap your fingers. Like, you have to be a particular individual with a ton of skill sets and a ton of like outreach to even make something of this proportion go. Like, it
appreciate
just
it.
blows my mind. And seeing the product and you holding it up and how refined and great it is just makes me think of, like, how many prototypes does this guy have? How many, like, "Oh,
Sure.
that's not gonna work," and switches and everything to get to where you are, and it's just really cool to see, like, a one guy show, like, make something like this happen and grow it like you are.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's ups and downs in there. There's a lot of emotional roller coaster. Prototypes that fail, stuff you break. I think I gave myself enough time. We went to ICAST in 2022. It was probably like a little soon. Was still kind of refining some stuff, figuring some things out, how I want to approach it. It was a good way to kind of see the market and see what the industry's like. That was my first real industry, being somewhere and like a show that big, to kind of see what it was about. And got some good exposure early on and some confidence. Like I think I'm on the right track.
Are
So
you going back there this year?
I'm not planning on it right now. I think this year for me, the focus was getting product out, supporting the product, showing the use cases, like letting people know, like, yeah, this is real. Guys are using it. Guys are catching fish. Kind of like proof of work, essentially, and then kind of come around towards the end of the year, maybe next year, kind of getting a bigger push on the product out there. Because again, it'd be awesome to go build like 1,000, 2,000 units and like sell them all, but then it's just like it's a lot of support. It's a lot of units out there. Like if something were to happen, like I don't want that. I don't want them coming back. I want them out there for forever. I don't want the product to come back. It's just more work for me in the sense that like it should be working. It should be fishing. It should be doing its design intent. So that's like more or less what I'm trying to build.
So I don't know how you are. I know I'd be like a greedy son of a gun. I'd be out trolling for fish with like 8 of these things going. I'd have to have a special battery bank on my boat
Sure,
just to run these
sure.
reels. I would never have a hand crank reel again. Like,
No,
I would
that's
only be fishing these.
that's all I want to do. Guys will be like, "Hey, we're gonna go fish." I was like, "What are y'all doing?" We're gonna go tuna fish, and I was like, "And what are you gonna do during the day?" I was like, "Marlin fish." She's like, "I don't want to go. I'll go
I'd
swordfish."
go. I'd marlin fish with a electric reel all day. Turn the
Good.
drag off, hand feed it,
Yeah,
crank
yeah.
her
I
up.
think some guys have rumored they're gonna do that. Who've got my product, and I think that'll be pretty sweet. So they're gonna
Oh, I'd
hopefully
be
get some
doing
video.
everything like redfish, sea
Yeah,
trout, you name it. It would be hooked up to this sucker. I'd be like swinging
Make
baits,
sure.
throwing them out there, just like, yeah, let's see what I can catch on. I'd be crabbing with it, running trot lines for catfish, you name it.
yeah. I'd like to do some like gimmicky thing to show like how powerful it is, but I haven't quite had a good idea. There's that video of the kid
Oh, I got some
running the
ideas
reel
for you after
on the
we
snow on the hill, and he's like winching his kid up and letting him down. It's like, oh, you could do that, but what's like the Texas version of that?
I got
So
some way better ones than that. After we are done here, I'll fill you in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me know. I'm game. I'm game.
You could do an opposite wicked tuna. You could throw a cinder block out, but then reel it in instead just watching the line stream. 5-gallon buckets while you're trolling.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
I
could
did that
reel a
in cheesesteaks.
5-gallon bucket in while you're doing, like, 9 knots, I
Uh-huh.
mean, there'd be Game over right there. I don't know about you, but, like, I've gotten a couple people and they've fallen asleep on the boat, just tossed one out
Really?
the side, tied to, like, an 80 wide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, I mean, that's the ultimate test there. You can reel a 5-gallon bucket in against the wake of a boat.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. That's
You
like,
have a strong son of a gun for that.
yeah, it's probably 30 plus pounds at least. So that'd be a rough one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I wanna give you, like, a minute or 2 to just kinda give your pitch on your reels and where people can reach out, what people would need them for, why they want them, and, ultimately, why choose Kobo. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked for a while. I loved what you had to say. Like, it's really great to see someone as passionate about yourself to take on a feat of this size. Like, I can't stress to you guys enough, whether you're listening or watching this YouTube channel, the feat that Michael took on to make this happen is no small feat. Like, this guy went and reinvented the wheel to make this happen. He came out with features that don't even exist, that he was like, "You know what? Like, I recognize this as something that I needed and that you need." And it's just incredible. And then seeing the finished product in your hands there, it's beautiful. It's the perfect size. It's functional. It's strong. It's not so small that it's weak. It's not too big that it's cumbersome. It's really like a very ideal product. And the fact that you have interchangeable spools makes it on par with a lot of the other leading manufacturers and better than some of the other leading manufacturers. Like, it's just a really cool thing to talk to somebody that not only just, like, came up with the idea, because we all come up with ideas, and some are stupid, some are great, a lot are stupid. Like, you
Yeah, that's like
didn't
some.
only just come up with an idea, like, you had to follow through, and the follow through is the game changer. It's people like you that are gonna change the game of sport fishing entirely, whether it's an electric reel or a lure or a rod or a windlass anchor for a boat or anything like that, and it's stuff like that that really changes the game for everyone else.
Awesome. Yeah. So the Gobo Power Reel runs on, first thing is 12 or 24 volts. So if you do run multiple boats, like a sporty with 24 and a center console with 12, you got one reel to do both. That automatically knows if it's running on 12 or 24, so you don't have to really do much to set it up besides plug it in. So it'll pull a dredge, it'll high speed troll, deep drop, swordfish, everything under the sun. Kind of do it all. I personally like to swordfish. That's in bottom fish, and so that's why I made the product. The features that really set it apart for that are the what's on the display. So metrics that are distance in feet. So when you spool the reel, you input your line diameter. Because of that, we can track how big the spool is changing based on revolutions, and so it's giving you not just revolutions but feet. You save which spool you have in there. There's 5 settings to save, 5 spools. So you can just switch between your spools real easily as you mechanically can swap out the spool. So the metrics on the screen, we talked about distance and feet, how much drag, so tension you're applying. So sword fishing, everyone talks about, like we said here, you all apply 20 pounds of drag at hook set. I like to apply 30. Some guys like to apply 35. Some guys don't like to go up to 15. It kind of moves around, but you can see that on the screen. So when you deploy out 2,000 feet of line, you can be confident in what that pressure is because you have a lot of variables in your drag. You have temperature, you have just kind of lifetime on the reel, and then how much line you have on your spool. Those are all variables that are changing. And so you have a kind of a real time display, how much tension you have or hook set. You have variable speed on the reel. So on 12 volts, it'll do up to 550 feet per minute and pull 60 plus pounds on a full spool. On 24, it'll do 850 feet per minute, 90 plus pounds on a full spool. And when I say that, when the spool gets smaller, the torque goes up. So like on 24 volts and an empty spool, it'll do double the 90, do like 180 pounds. Is it double? That's like roughly that. It might be 175, but you get the point. And then variable speed, auto stop. It's got a backlit screen, and then the drag itself will do 100 plus pounds, so it's got a lot of capacity there. And you can find us at kobofishing.com. We have more information there. You can buy it through our website. If you have any questions or want to contact us, you can do it at support@kobofishing.com. Happy to answer any questions you might have. We can exchange numbers. I think our I can't tell you the number right now because I don't remember it, but it is on the website. Call it's a 1-800 number, but it goes to my cell phone, so I'm picking it up. And then Instagram, Kobo Fishing, Facebook, Kobo Fishing. I think TikTok might be Kobo Fishing or Kobo. And then our YouTube channel is, I think, Kobo Fishing as well. So yeah, does that answer
Awesome.
everything? Or
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. This is Michael from Kobo Fishing. You've been a pleasure to have on. I loved hearing about your reels. I can't wait to see where you guys are going. I can't wait to see your next products. It's incredible to hear the journey that you're on, like from idea to coming out with prototypes and working prototypes and then ultimately getting to where you are today. Seeing the reel in person on camera and stuff looks incredible. I can't wait to get my hands on one, see how it is in person as well. And I want to thank Magic Tail Outfitters, the manufacturer of the best lures in the world. I also want to thank Fish Flags USA. These fish flags are great when you're using your Kobo. Uh, when you're using your Kobo reels, you get that 500,000 pound swordfish. Fish Flags USA will have you covered. If you aren't using a Kobo reel and you do not have good luck fishing, they have a flag they made just for Troy of the skunk. They can get you one of those too. Great gifts for your friends, great gifts for Troy. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate all you guys. We can't do it without you. It's amazing to see how many people are listening to the show and watching the show everywhere. It's especially great to see the people in Middle America tuning in as well. We want to get you out on the ocean. We want to get you guys involved in sport fishing. It is such a great opportunity to get out there in the ocean, catch these fish. And it's awesome that you guys are tuning in. It's great that everyone around the coast are tuning in and overseas as well. And it grows every week, and we're really happy to have that. We're happy for all of our guests. You guys make such great products. You guys are great captains. If you guys have questions on how can I book a trip, go to our website. All the captains that are on our show, they have direct links right to book trips with them. Don't use Fishing Booker. Those guys steal 30% of their income. Those guys work hard. We want to make sure that it goes right to them. As well, support small businesses. These guys are critical. Local tackle shops, guys like Michael, they're out there pouring their heart and soul and sweat equity into these products. They're making changes. They're actually listening to you and trying to help you become a better fisherman. They're not overseas somewhere where they're just pumping these things out by the millions. Like, you guys matter to them, and they need to matter to you. It's really important. Support local, shop local, fish local, catch fish. Love you guys. Have a great night.